I'm going to introduce Janine Anderson, who has a lot of distinctions, not the least of which is that the concept behind Cold War Patriots and the National Day of Remembrance really initiated with Janine.
Special thanks to the press and news stations for carrying this important day and for your continuing dedication to these issues related to the sick nuclear workers and their families. I would like for us all to share a 1 minute moment of silence in honor of the deceased nuclear weapons workers. This National Day of Remembrance will honor the thousands of civilians who labored from the Manhattan Project to the present day in defense of our nation. After toiling in secret over the past 6 decades, hundreds of thousands of Americans, in order to make the country's nuclear deterrent possible, also sacrificed their health as they performed their daily work. During this inaugural event, you will see up here on the table we have a 40-foot long petition scroll, which will be on display for signatures for all that wish to call upon Congress to honor these Cold War veterans and their families in supporting this National Day of Remembrance. Our 40-foot long petition will travel to the other major sites across the country during the next 2 to 4 months for signatures. Some of the sites that we'll be at will be Hanford, Washington, Savannah River site in Aiken, South Carolina, Portsmouth, Ohio, Paducah, Kentucky, Los Alamos, New Mexico, Grants, New Mexico, which we have a petition which is actually there today, Grand Junction, Colorado, Denver, Colorado, and the Navajo Nation, just to mention a few.
I want to extend my warmest greetings to those participating in the kickoff for the National Day of Remembrance. The dedicated employees of the Department of Energy and its contractors were instrumental in our winning in the Cold War. These employees worked in laboratories and factories related to nuclear weapons under hazardous conditions that were sometimes not well understood. They put their health and their lives in jeopardy in the service of their country, often without knowing it. Tennessee has more workers that remain sick through their exposure to nuclear weapon hazards than any other state in the Union. That is why one of my priorities in the U.S. Senate has been to help get our Cold War heroes and their families the compensation they deserve. From a major overhaul of the Sick Workers Program in 2004 to legislation that I introduced last year to ensure that compensation for the families of sick nuclear workers won't be taken away in cases where sick workers or their eligible survivors died before their claims are processed. While the compensation program can provide some financial assistance, it can never fully make up for what was lost. That's why I do support your efforts to designate October 30th as a National Day of Remembrance. And I will work with my colleagues from both parties to pass a Senate resolution supporting this goal.
Well, my health has been sort of up and down lately. My liver's getting a little bit worse, and just about everything else I think is going right along with the liver. So I'm pretty much housebound now. I don't get out very much at all, Wes. But I'm hanging in there, and one thing that I always tell people, where I may differ from other sick workers, I am a survivor, and I always will be. And when people call and say, Janine, how are you doing? I always say, they haven't got me yet. So hopefully I will survive for many more years.
Pull it to you a little bit, is that all right?
I have to turn it that way, but the right way to right.
There you go. I kind of figured that you were. So. Yeah, we have a copy over here and over there. And she's just special.
My name is Terry Spurgeon. My father was a worker at the plant at K25 and Y12. He did pass away last year, but he gave his service to the plant during the Cold War time and believed very much in the government and would still, to his dying day, would not tell what he did at the plant, working there. And this is just a great tribute to all the workers that have gone on and the ones that are still here with us. It's just a wonderful, wonderful program.
My father worked at Oak Ridge K-25 for 41 years, and he died of lung cancer, bone cancer, and cancer in every organ of his body. He basically gave his life for the people during the Cold War era.
I would rather.
And if everything was getting
Well, I just want to come out and show my respect for the men that been here before us. We're working at the plant now and appreciate everything they did.
Do you mind giving me your name?
I'm Doug Sexton. I'm an iron worker out of Local 384.
Okay. And how about you?
I think the same way. I'm Ronnie Phillips, Local 384 iron worker rigger at White 12.
For the last year and a half, I've been going to the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio, to their liver disease department. And the next step that will take place will be, I will go back in the next month or two for another liver biopsy. I have level 3 to 4 steatohepatitis, which is non-alcoholic fatty liver. And besides the hepatomegaly, which is enlarged liver, and when that level 3 to 4 goes over to a permanent level 4 steatohepatitis, that will put me in a dangerous situation in that I will have a cirrhotic condition, and at that point we might be looking at liver failure or jaundice or liver cancer or ascites, fluid on the liver. So in order to find out what stage I'm at with my liver disease, they have to do the biopsy, and they can only do those about once or twice a year. They really don't like to do them that much, but that will be my next step in treatment for my liver. As far as my other illnesses, I'm still going to my primary care physician who coordinates all my other doctors, and I've been on an insulin pump for a couple years now, and I just started a very, very strong insulin. It's called U500, and it's 5 times stronger than any other insulin that they make, and that has helped to bring my liver around to be able to deal with my diabetes better. My diabetes is not able to be controlled as a normal diabetic in that my liver is so large that my liver throws large amounts of sugar into my bloodstream during the day and night, and the insulin doesn't do very well to counteract that huge amount of sugar that I get from the liver. So we're experimenting with this U500, and so far it's doing really well, so we're excited about that.
Where did you work?
Wes, I worked at the K-25 Oak Ridge gaseous diffusion plant for 7 years. It's now called the ETTP, East Tennessee Technology Park, and the plant enriched uranium for nuclear fuel and bombs, and I worked during the late 70s into the mid 80s, and I worked as an administrative assistant. Now, I worked with the payroll department and with timekeeping, and even though I was administrative assistant, I ran all over the plants to various buildings, because back then we were still on time cards. We weren't even computerized back then. So there was a lot of locations that I was in that was contaminated with radiation and heavy metals that unfortunately I was unknowingly exposed to.
What heavy metals have been
The
determined?
primary heavy metal that they have found in my body was mercury, cadmium, a lot of nickel, arsenic, small amounts of uranium, plutonium, aluminum, things like that. But the major ones was the most dangerous ones that I had in my body, and I still have very high levels of nickel, was the mercury, cadmium, and the nickel. They were at very high toxic levels.
Did you guys come in yesterday?
Have